Welcome to Reality TV Cringe.
Oh my God.
We are the podcast that serves the trash.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, all the trash that is fit to eat. And we are excited to be with you today to discuss Sister Wives.
Yes.
Season 18, episode 3.
Glass houses, stones, whatever.
Yes, there's some stones, there's some glass houses, there's some narcissism.
Oh my God, so much.
Very wild. And I have so many things to say. But before we do, we want to give the appropriate disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Hide your wife, hide your kids. So we are bound to offend you. This is not a politically correct podcast. So if you are sensitive, this is not the podcast for you.
Get the hell out of here. Also, we have an Instagram at Reality TV Cringe. And we have a YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link is in the description.
Yes, please like, comment, share. It really helps us to grow. That's what we're trying to do. We're having a lot of fun in this dumpster.
Yes.
And we want to find more raccoons.
Yes.
Okay, let's get into the episode.
Oh my God, girl.
Are you ready? So basically there's just 3 important scenes in this episode. We have the first scene where Cody is with his
bros.
Men go their own way Mormon bros. Then we have the scene where Cody goes to visit Janelle at her little dormitory apartment.
And the fight ensues.
Which is wild. There's so much that goes on there.
So much.
And then we have Cody and Robin going to visit Mary to discuss holiday plans.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start at the beginning.
With the bros.
Apparently, Cody likes to spend time with his bros.
Yeah.
He likes to sit down and rap about marriage and wives. And that sounds like a lot of fun.
Man stuff. Janelle calls it Testosterone Tuesdays is what they used to call it back in Utah. But yeah, it's time for Cody to have his man time because he's surrounded by too many women.
Right. Janelle says at some point later in this episode that he's actually gone on this man trip back to Oklahoma, by the way, where nobody is socially distancing on the couch talking to each other. Of course.
Of course.
He's gone for a full week, which I thought he wasn't supposed to do.
Because of Ari and Saul.
Right. So when he wants to go to Parowan or when he wants to hang out with Janelle only has 2 or 3 days because he's got to get back right away.
Yes.
Except if it's to go visit the bros or do what he wants to do.
Then it's okay. And Robin even says that she encourages him regularly to have his man time because she thinks it's important.
Sure, Robin.
Mm-hmm. Sure, Jan.
So in the conversation with his bros, we kind of get into a lot of different things. First and foremost, he talks about how he's been angry, how that anger is affecting his wives and also his children.
Yeah.
He's angry because Christine had the audacity to leave. Well, first he was relieved.
Yes.
At first, when she told me that she moved all my shit out of the house, I was relieved because I really don't like her anyway.
I felt peace. I felt calmness. And then I started feeling angry.
Right.
And betrayed.
Because that set off a bomb in the family.
Yes.
Which he refers to as a civil war. And so he got angry because the kids got involved. And of course, he also feels grief because the family is torn apart because of Christine.
It's all Christine's fault.
Yes.
And Janelle later.
Yes. And it's now becoming Janelle's fault. It's already been Mary's fault. Mary's been on the outs for a very long time. What did you think of this kind of weird conversation? He did mention that Nathan, who is kind of the bigger gentleman, was a fundamentalist Mormon. So not just a regular old LD ass like your good Judy Ethel.
Yes.
But like a full-on fundamentalist polygamist.
Yeah.
Who also had one of his own wives divorce him.
I know. I wonder why. I would love to know the tea in that polygamist family. But that's why Cody is talking with him because Nathan understands the struggle that Cody is going through with losing a wife and then being at odds with the other two and still fucking his favorite wife. It's great. Right. I just love seeing this dynamic. And then there's Cody's younger brother that's there.
Yes.
Who I guess grew up with the polygamous lifestyle as opposed to Cody, whose dad didn't convert until he was an adult. And then another brother, I think, is there.
No, it's that same guy that he went to officiate their wedding. That's his friend from Oklahoma is also there. So he's only got one wife and he's the one who thinks Cody's kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, he is.
Yes, and he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a motley crew of weird dudes. And did you notice that Cody actually admitted that when Christine left him, he went online.
Yes.
And he found some websites where men were talking about walking away from women.
Mm-hmm. And hating women. And
also known as men going their own way, or MGTOW.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a fucking community of incels.
100%.
Older incels who probably got dumped by women.
Yes.
And who are pissed off about it.
Yeah.
So we have been talking, and I know in the community, we've all been kind of talking about Cody being red-pilled, Cody being a part of the manosphere, which he actually mentioned in a previous episode, the manosphere, right?
He did?
Yeah, I think he used the word manosphere at some point. And so now he's kind of confirming that he actually did go to these different sites or on Reddit or whatever and immerse himself in that poison, as he calls it now.
Yeah, he said it's a touch of poison looking back because that fueled a lot of his anger. And I'm like, but you're still on those sites though, right? That's what it seems like. You're still on these sites. Because even in these weird conversations, which it's just Cody blabbing on and about how he feels betrayed and how he's going through all of these emotions because Christine left the family and broke up the whole family. But I think it was Nathan, the bigger guy, that was like, well, but you know that you may have done some things wrong or something to that effect. Like he was like, you have to admit like your faults in this too. And Cody just kind of brushes over that.
Right. He doesn't have the ability.
No.
He literally doesn't have the ability, although he is pretending that he does have the ability. For example, in this conversation, he talks about how Christine came to him at some point and said that she hated polygamy and that he handled it the wrong way because at the time he said something like, what are you talking about? Polygamy has given you all of these children. Polygamy has given you this beautiful family.
And me.
And me. All of this, honey.
It's me.
And he says in this conversation that he shouldn't have been indignant. It was probably, by the way, way worse than that.
For sure.
Cody was probably angry at her audacity to even be saying that about the family and polygamy.
Yes.
But he's now saying in this conversation with his bros that what he should have done is said, I'm sorry, I know it's hard. Polygamy can be tough. And if he had it to do again, he would have did it a different way. And I don't believe him at all.
I don't believe him at all. I think he's just saying all the right things to come off like he's this dude that actually gives a shit when you're literally pushing all these women away. All of them except Robin, apparently.
Right. Well, we know he's not being true because in just one segment or two later, when he's sitting down with Janelle, and Janelle is trying to get a word in edgewise and to tell him how she feels, he's not even listening to her. So all of this fucking introspection about how he should have handled things with Christine isn't real because he doesn't know how to do it with Janelle.
Yeah. You would think he would know how to do it with Janelle, right? Because it seems like we've been seeing from these earlier seasons, like they've had a pretty good like friendship. They communicate really well with each other. They talk a lot, and they've always prided themselves in their relationship in that ability to be able to have a good conversation together and be friends. And so it's weird that he can't even acknowledge it with Janelle, but I think it's because Janelle's calling him out on his shit.
Well, and also Janelle actually addressed it in the episode. She said Cody doesn't want the implications of actually being the one to divorce his wives. And I was wondering if that's a faith-based thing. Like, is there some kind of a ramification or something that would happen to him if he's the husband in a plural family and he decides to cast out a wife? Does he not get the best planet next to Jesus on Kolob? Like, is there a faith implication for him being the one to initiate? So it is Janelle's theory, as posited by her in this episode, that he's ignoring his wives, he's neglecting his wives in order for them to be the first ones to say, I'm out, like Christine did.
So that way he doesn't have to be the one to admit that he broke up with his marriage. I wonder if it probably is religious based, but I could also see it just being purely in Cody's fucking ego because God forbid, as Janelle calls him, the paragon of honesty and perfection, right? Like God forbid that he can't admit, yeah, you know, I really love Robin and her breakdancing pussy. I just can't do it with you guys anymore. And like, I love our kids. Like, let's just break up amicably and you guys can live your happy lives and we can just live our monogamous life in our McMansion. Yeah. But he can't do that.
It's very strange to me because I've been married for a million years. I've been in a lot of different conflicts with different husbands because I've been married many times. But I know that if you want to resolve a conflict with your partner, like the thing you don't want to do is just blame the other person for absolutely everything and like not take any ownership in your own shit. But we are jumping ahead.
Yes.
Back to this fucking bromance.
Bro talk.
Right.
Yep.
There is a section in this conversation where Cody talks about the dilution that comes along with polygamy, meaning that it's not super intense like a monogamous relationship where you're just with that person all the time. And he's like, the benefit to polygamy is that I can just go to the next wife's house and hang out with her and get away from the cantankerous wife. Or the wives can get away from me if I'm being cantankerous, which he doesn't actually believe he is cantankerous.
Of course, yeah.
He's calling, I think, Janelle cantankerous in this because I think he's used that word for her before.
Yeah, and I think Christine too. And Janelle, I guess, is listening in on this or hearing this footage or something because then there's a snapshot of her saying, ding, ding, ding.
Right.
He's got it right. I mean, maybe that is what it is for her, but it's not like that for Christine. I think Christine likes Cody and loves to be in a relationship with him and wants intimacy with him. Same thing with Mary. She wants that. She's okay sharing it, but wants that relationship. Yeah. And Janelle's like, I don't care. I like my independence. I don't need a full-time husband. That's why I like polygamy. So she's always been that wife. So maybe it was a hit to her in that conversation.
I think it was a hit to her in that conversation. And I think this is also where Robin slithers her way into the topic by saying, well, yeah, like there is the reality that I only have him 3/4 of the time. And so that is why I needed a nanny. And that is what the nanny does.
Yes.
She's defending herself. So it's weird to me how this is being edited together.
Yeah.
Because she's obviously seen the footage in this particular talking head from season 17, where Christine asks, what does the nanny do? Or was that season 16, actually?
I think it was season 16.
It might have been season 16. So she's trying to defend herself in this talking head by saying that, yeah, he's gone 3/4 of the time, which no, he's not.
No, he's not. Not for you, Robin.
Because in the conversation with Janelle, she says you weren't around for 4 or 5 months.
Yes, but Cody says that's an exaggeration. It wasn't actually that long.
Oh my God. He's crazy.
He is absolutely delulu.
And she was like, this is fucking wild.
Robin's comment was a little weird, though, talking about the nanny right there and then. I know there was producer editing and everything, which thank you, TLC, for at least putting that little nugget in there because it frames the rest of the episode really well. But I just can't believe that Robin would even think that in her dumb brain, that I need a nanny for my 3 kids when Christine was literally mothering 12,000 children for 15 years. But okay, whatever.
Right. And she really did have a nanny for those 3 kids and then for her subsequent 2 children because McKelty moved in with her when McKelty was 13.
Yeah.
And so she's always had help, whereas Christine didn't have help.
Nope.
But like these women didn't have the luxury of having somebody come into the house and live there and take care of their children.
Yes.
Yikes.
Interesting.
Okay. So the next scene is the scene where Cody goes to talk with Janelle, I guess, to hammer out and finalize the holiday plans, in specific, the Christmas plans. So I'm guessing by this point, Thanksgiving has already happened.
Yeah.
We already had the conversation outside of Robin's house where there was the big fight. So now we're here to talk specifically about Christmas. And by this point, Janelle and Christine have both together rented an Airbnb for all of their family. Christine's going to be arriving, I guess, after Christmas for a couple of days so everybody can be together. And so Janelle is going to have to relay this information to Cody, and she already knows.
He's going to be pissed.
It's going to be a problem.
He's going to be pissed. And he walks in with his fucking headband of sunglasses in his hair and his bald spot. And he walks into her fucking dorm apartment, which, by the way, is smaller than my apartment as a 20-something-year-old kid. Whatever. But he walks into her apartment, immediately has to go get water. Like, did you notice that? He's kind of entitled. Like, for a man who doesn't visit his family very much at all. And you just walk in and start using their shit. I don't know. That's just crazy to me.
It's weird. And he's also
crazy.
like casting these furtive glances over at Janelle, who's like on her laptop and he's checking her out. He's like, vibe check.
What are you doing?
What's happening? And she's like, I'm working. Immediately, you can just feel the tension. And then like the first thing he says of substance out of his big dumb mouth is, wow, your Christmas tree is really little.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude,
I know. Immediately critical.
Tone deaf, though.
Yeah.
You live in a huge McMansion on 4 acres, which Janelle verifies later in the episode.
Yes.
You're coming into Janelle's dormitory apartment, which is smaller than Beatrice's apartment as a 20-something-year-old kid. There's shit everywhere because there's no room in this place for Savannah and for Janelle. There's shit piled on the counters. There's shit piled on boxes. And you have the audacity to say, wow, that's a fucking pitiful little tree. I'm used to really big trees because I live in a mansion.
Yeah.
And like we have high cathedral ceilings. So like our fucking Christmas tree, you know, it's like 12 feet tall. And so I'm like, ugh, nice Christmas tree, Janelle. That's what it felt like to me.
Yes. And in his talking head, he straight up has the gall to comment on the Christmas tree again. And he's like, well, this is, what did he say?
It's a symbol of our deteriorating, our
degradation of
our
the family.
degraded family.
Wild to me.
It's really not. It's a symbol of how you neglect your wife.
Yes.
Because she's in this fucked up apartment with your child who's not yet of age, who you have a duty to support. Like, are you paying child support, my guy?
Hello.
Like, why are these people living in this apartment? Now, granted, like, let's be fair.
Yes.
He did want to have Janelle purchase a home in specific. He wanted Janelle to buy Christine's home, but he only wanted that because he wanted to put his name on Christine's home. He wanted to have a joint asset. And if it's joint to him, then it's also joint with Robin, unless there's specific legal terms that they arrive at, which, by the way, I think they did on Coyote Pass. I was reading the subreddit, and apparently the land that is owned by Kody and Janelle, and also I think Cody and Mary, which is also has Robin's name on it, right? Mm-hmm. There's a clause that she cannot inherit it. She cannot take control of it should something happen. And I don't
Robin
know
can't control
Robin
it?
cannot.
Okay.
So it's really only Janelle and Cody's or Mary and Cody's. Like she doesn't actually have any legal control over Janelle's property.
Well, that's good then. Yeah.
I hope so. Somebody said that and it sounded right.
Okay.
When I was reading it.
Interesting.
But I'm just like, how do you not have self-awareness?
I mean,
if
come
I'm
on.
Cody and I'm walking into this scrubby little apartment in my fucking shades with my leather coat, and my wife is sitting on the couch in this busted down sofa trying to do some fucking plexus magic so she can buy a Christmas present for her daughter, I would be aware. I'd be bringing something over.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you need, my love?
Yeah. No, he does not give a shit at all because he's already reacting from this weird triggered place of like, my ego's been damaged because I'm no longer the head of my house and my family, and nobody is submitting to my control. Nobody is complying with my rules and my thought of how this family should act. Like he's like reacting from that place, and it's really crazy to see a grown-ass man with these tightly curled hair. Like I just can't, dude. He's like losing control of his whole life, and he's like having a breakdown on TV.
And so he has to hyper control his curls.
Yeah.
The only thing he has control over is his curls. And so he's going to just curl them as tight as he can.
Yeah.
So he sits down on this broke down couch with Janelle, and both of them seem like a little bit hesitant to get into this conversation. I'm wondering if it's on some production call sheet that we have to have a sit down conversation about the holidays with Janelle and Cody, so they both are prepared for this terrible conversation. But it comes up that Janelle's going to be spending time with her kids at the Airbnb, and that she rented it with Christine. Now, as soon as she says that she rented it with Christine, you can just see he's already got a stink attitude, but you can just see he gets hard and he gets cold.
Which is so crazy. I'm like, dude, if I'm thinking about these 3 OG wives, Christine and Janelle were the ones that had the majority of the children. Like, I don't understand how you can think in your brain that this is an attack on you and your family structure, for your family to be hanging out together as a family for Christmas.
Right.
But he genuinely takes it as like an attack.
Well, I mean, he wasn't invited.
Well,
and so I can see.
He's not inviting anybody else.
Of course. Nor is he picking up a phone and calling his sons, who he has the issue with, nor are they picking up a phone and calling him, which, by the way, is established. It is established. He says it in this conversation that the phone goes both ways.
Yes.
In other words, I have not called my kids to relay the fact that they don't need to apologize, confirming once again that he expects Janelle to run back and tell the boys, okay, you don't actually have to apologize, but there has to be some sort of a conversation in which you're going to have to apologize.
Yes.
Like he's expecting Janelle to do this, but then at the same time, he's blaming Janelle for doing it, which actually is the definition of gaslighting.
Yeah, 100%. But he's accusing her of gaslighting.
And I'm like, at no point, Janelle, I just wish you could have tagged me in this conversation. At no point could you have thought to say, give me an example of how I gaslit you.
Yeah.
Because to gaslight means that you're telling somebody that something that did happen did not happen.
Correct.
And then implying that they're essentially crazy or that they're making it up.
Right.
Like, what did Janelle do? Janelle did say, what did I do?
Yeah.
And at no time did he actually give her an example. All he's saying is, you're not loyal.
Yep.
You're lying. You're making things up. You're not defending me. We're not a united front. It's just blame, general blame, though.
Yes.
He really doesn't have specifics as to what Janelle has done other than to cling to what Janelle is doing that's bothering him so much. I know I'm going crazy.
No.
I'm telling you, I checked my blood pressure before I went into that scene. It was like 108 over 60 something. I checked it after. It was like 137 over 80 something. Like my blood pressure literally went up. What was I saying right before that? His condemnation of her is just general stuff without actual specifics. And that's what was getting me so upset, because he's really got nothing. And he actually really is doing using the same playbook that he used against Christine against Janelle. And she's just sitting there and she's trying to talk, Beatrice. She's trying to open her mouth and defend herself. And every time she does, she gets 3 words out and he's jumping in and interrupting her. It was driving me crazy.
He cuts her off every time. I watched this twice today. And both times I was like super fucking tense during this whole entire argument, because I've been in an argument with a narc and it's not fun. And it's exactly like this, where they just sit there. No. Never. But like, you sit there and you try to get a word out and you're scared the whole entire time. Like, Janelle looks pissed, so she doesn't look like she's timid. She just keeps getting more and more mad because she can't get a fucking word in. And every single time she gets a word in, he has another blame, another accusation of what she's doing to the family, which she hasn't done shit. I mean, what he's probably upset by is that she circumvented his authority by getting the fucking 5th will and didn't listen to him by buying a house, so that way she wouldn't be upset by the fact that she has no fucking assets in the family.
Right.
And she's tied up in this Coyote Pass bullshit that's never going to happen. He can't like articulate it. He just has to be pissed off at her for everything, the whole family, the kids, him not having any relationship with the boys, which is just wild to me. Like you'd said, pointed out, he's accusing her of talking shit to the boys, but then at the same time wants her to mitigate it and fix his relationship with the boys. Right.
And the fact that she hasn't sufficiently is another reason for him to blame her. Yeah. And like, there's at some point, like as we're starting to get into this argument, she's like, well, the boys want to know if you're going to come by. There's an invitation out there. Yes. Even though the boys haven't issued it, there is potentially a desire that the sons would like for Cody to go to the Airbnb and drop in for Christmas. And he's like, I'm not going to go to that house. I have a house. Yeah. It's my and Robin's house. That's where I'm going to be having Christmas. I'm just like, dude, you are so proud. Pride cometh before a fall, my guy. Yes. And we're seeing it right now. You're falling, you suck, and I hate you.
Yes. And then to also claim in the same fucking breath that he has no favorites, and that to even accuse Robin of being the favorite is so damaging to the family and so cruel and such a lie. And it's like, but you're literally saying, I have a house, I have a family, I have a place for me, and it's not with you guys anymore.
Right.
Like, that's exactly what he's saying.
I will not deign to leave my house with Robin and our children and come and visit all of my other kids who are coming into Flagstaff. Like all of them are coming in, except for Caddy and Maleb, Maddie and Caleb. All of them are coming in, but I'm not going to take that opportunity to be a dad and show up and try to connect with my family.
Yes. And then Janelle calls that out again, is like, this is the new fucking excuse, because before it was all those stupid COVID protocols that we all tried to abide by and it was never good enough for you. And now it's this, that we can't get together because we have to hash this stuff out, but you don't want to hash it out.
And then we get into the COVID thing again and how pissed Cody is at Janelle. Did you notice this? He's pissed at Janelle for her boys and their beliefs and their opinions and emotions about him.
Yeah.
Janelle is not her sons. These boys are grown ass adults at this point.
Exactly.
They are entitled to their own opinions. It's not her fault. And she's like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't make them do anything.
No.
You're the one who has this relationship with the kids. And Christina's been saying it the last 2 episodes. Like, the responsibility is yours.
Hello.
If you want to have a relationship with your children or your wives, then it is up to you to go ahead and make the effort to do that. It's not on me.
Yeah.
Just because I'm their sounding board and they come to me to talk to me doesn't mean that I'm the one who's destroying your relationship.
Yes.
But he doesn't get it. And he's really fucking butthurt that Gabe and Garrison, and I don't know about Hunter, decided to have a social life during COVID.
God for fucking bid.
Ultimately brought back COVID into the house. So everybody in that house apparently got COVID and didn't listen to him.
Yeah.
And is mad at Janelle because she didn't abide by his rules. And we're getting back into litigious territory because she's like, you didn't fucking give me the rules. I asked for the rules in March of 2020. I didn't get them until before Thanksgiving. And so you can't blame me for not knowing the rules.
Yeah.
I followed the CDC guidelines, but it was never enough for you. It was always something more.
Yeah.
And the boys saw that. And the boys were like, that's fucking bullshit. This is just an excuse. And we haven't seen him for 4 to 5 months, which is when they called Robin because the boys believe Robin is behind it. And you know what? I agree with them.
You think Robin is behind all of it?
Yes.
See, I don't know. In this episode, I watched back in season 16, episode 9, called The Teflon Queen. This is where this term came out. I watched this scene with Cody and the boys talking about COVID and all this bullshit.
When they were out on Coyote Pass?
Yeah.
That conversation? Okay.
And the boys had conceded in that argument thinking, oh, sorry, it was our ignorance thinking it was all Robin's fault, but it was actually you. And Cody had said in that episode, well, she's the obedient wife. She's the one that follows all of my rules. And so, yeah, she's the one that's going with it because she's the most obedient.
But you are giving him too much credit. You aren't giving her enough credit because we see it when we see it when they go to Mary's house in the 3rd segment. When Mary proposes that she invite all of the kids who are going to be at the Airbnb over for Christmas Eve. And Cody immediately says, oh, is that what you want to do? Is that your plan? And he seems open to it. And then Robin opens her mouth and says, well, that's kind of scary to me. Like, you guys haven't talked yet. And then Cody says, yeah, I don't want to hang out with people who are uncool about me having rules about COVID. So do you see how she did that?
Yeah.
He thinks it's his idea.
Right.
He thinks, oh, this is my rule. But it was Robin that's turning the head. She's the neck. She's turning his fucking head. So yes, I believe these are all Robin's rules. And Cody thinks they're his rules. And so he's trying to take the heat off of her. But she's absolutely behind all of it, Beatrice.
See, this is our age-old question of this pod. Is Robin dumb as a box of rocks, or is she actually the Machiavellian puppet master of all of this? So you really think, like, these were all of her rules to begin with. She convinced Cody that they were his rules and that he came up with the idea so that way he didn't blame her, put any blame on her.
Well, I don't think her motivation was COVID. I think her motivation was separation. And again, we're acting like this began during COVID.
Right.
When they have talked and said, no, this was going on when they were in Vegas.
Yeah.
He wasn't spending time at the other wives' homes when they were in Vegas.
Right.
So she was doing something different in Vegas. Now we've got COVID. I think she's using the rules in order to enforce the separation and have him be home with her.
Wow.
And he is too dumb, literally not smart. He's too dumb to realize what Robin is doing. I don't think Robin is IQ smart.
Yeah.
I don't think she's fucking book smart, but she has an instinct, like a lot of people do, on how to manipulate the person that they're romantically involved with. That's what I think. And she knows it. And she knows he's dumb too.
Yeah.
She knows he's dumb too.
Well, that's when I was watching that season 16 episode today. It was weird to see the boys be like, okay, well, we're sorry for blaming Robin. It was in that scene, and Cody kind of was like, okay, whatever. But nothing really came out of their talk from the Coyote Pass because nothing really fucking changed. He still stopped seeing his kids. But it was just weird because then you go back to this episode and Robin saying all this weird shit like, about the Cody coaster and how he's just a roller coaster of emotions constantly. It's really scary.
This is her attempt to align with the other wives and say, oh yeah, it has been really bad. Cody's been really angry and we've had a lot of trouble in our marriage. No, she hasn't. Puppet master. And to make the other wives, who, by the way, heretofore have been funneling their money into the Cody fund, the family fund. They've been funneling their money into the family fund. And so she needs them to think that she is also one of them so that they don't leave.
Yeah, so that way they don't blame her
so
also.
She thinks she's playing them. And we see Mary starting to wake up. Janelle has been on to her for quite some time. Christina's had her number since season fucking 1.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God.
The only person who doesn't really see it
is Cody.
I guess. I mean, unless Cody does see it and he's okay with it and he agrees with it. Because this was what we were talking about last week. You don't want to put in the effort to be with your family, to maintain your family, to manage your family, which he says, I was Atlas holding this whole family together. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I hated that
And as soon as I
dude.
shrugged, y'all just destroyed me.
As soon as I shrugged the family off, that's what he said. Like, as soon as I did that, then you guys got all mad at me. It's like, well, yeah.
And you've been doing that the entire time, though?
Like, what the fuck?
I don't know, Beatrice. The question was like, you obviously don't want to hang out with your family.
Right.
Because if you wanted to hang out with your family, you would have been doing that. You wouldn't have taken 4 to 5 months to go and hang out with Janelle's kids. You don't call, a week goes by, you don't call Savannah.
Yeah.
She's right there in Flagstaff. After this argument happens and it's Christmas, he doesn't even talk to Savannah for a week and a half or 2 weeks. Why? Because he doesn't really want to be with his family, but he wants it to appear like his family doesn't want to be with him. So I don't know. It's such a fucking mind fuck to me.
It's such a mind fuck. And it's because he's a narc, I think. And because he's got Robin in his ear saying, oh, you're not to blame for all of this. Look at how much you carry. Look at how much you have to do for us. Like, you have so much weight on your shoulders being Atlas and all. And, it's just like not your fault. You could never have predicted it because you've done everything right. Like, she's in his ear saying all of this to him.
Right.
And sucking his dick probably and pegging him.
So this fight kind of goes round and around about COVID and who did what. And it's just so dumb because at the end of the day, you're not willing to go to the Airbnb and say hi to your kids, even though they would like you to do so.
Right.
And you can't just say, I don't want to hang out with uncool people who aren't on my side, which is what you feel and what you ultimately said to Mary. This is when at some point Janelle calls him manipulative.
Yes.
And he's like, okay, well then tell me. No. Tell me and tell the world. And he points to the camera. All of us.
Fucked up.
Tell all of them how I'm manipulating you. Because you love to talk, don't you? When you're on that fucking couch, you love to say all this shit behind our backs. So why don't you tell us all right now how I manipulate you? And then she tries to. Yep. And then he cuts her off.
Again.
Over and over and over again.
He knows she's right too. Like she's hitting all of the spots in him that are triggering this too. Like she's calling him out. And I think she had said at some point in this argument, like, you want us to, well, we've already said this, but like you want to push all of us away and you're not admitting to that because you would rather just ignore us, forget about us, so that way you're the one that's not at fault. Like she says
it's my idea to leave. It's not your grand plan the entire time.
Right. Mm-hmm. And he brushes over that again too. Like he's not wanting to admit that she's right, but I know
I was kind of disappointed with Janelle because I kind of thought she was more of an intelligent arguer. Like her argumentation skills were a little bit better. Like there were a lot of opportunities for her to be super calm and just state the facts, ma'am.
She was mad.
She got really mad and you could see her overheating. You could see her becoming super shorted and overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And he just fucking took advantage of that. Like a viper, just kept striking. And she's just like, her mouth is hanging open. She keeps like, this is wild to me that you're blaming me for all of this as if you didn't say the things that you said. And he's like, yo, you can't hang your cap on that over and over again. It's the same thing. I told you I apologized for that, which is when I would have said to the boys.
Yeah.
Who did you apologize to for that?
To the cameras?
Because you didn't apologize to the kids, and you certainly didn't apologize to me. Show me where you apologize. But she can't do that because there's really no space for Janelle in that conversation, which is the problem fundamentally, is that there's no space for any of the OG wives to have a relationship, a full and healthy relationship with Cody. He doesn't want it, and there's no place for it.
No place for it at all. And he can't have the balls to be the man and say, yeah, this is exactly what happened. Like, I just don't want to be in a relationship with you guys. He is so fucking wild to me.
At no point did he take any responsibility for anything that he did. I guarantee you, if it wasn't 4 or 5 months that he was away from Gabe Garrison in Savannah during COVID, it was probably 2 or 3, but I believe it was 4 or 5, but it was at least 2 or 3. And he could have said, yeah, I probably should have made more of an effort to come on over. Like, at no point, raccoons, did he take any responsibility for one thing. Instead, it's like, you have cheated me out of a relationship with my children, who I won't call because the phone goes both ways.
Yes.
Who I won't go and see them on Christmas, even though apparently they'd like me to be there. You, Janelle, have cheated me out of a relationship with my kids. It's like, wow.
You're talking shit to them about me when she's literally just delivering what you said verbatim about the kids and how this whole COVID arrangement would work out. And in season 16, it was 8 to 9 months that they hadn't seen him. That's what Gabe and fucking Garrison were saying on the mountain with Cody.
And what did he say?
And he was like, well, you guys chose to have a social life. And they were arguing over COVID.
Okay, so he didn't deny the 8 or 9 months?
No.
Okay.
But it was literally from like March to November that they hadn't seen him. And that's why Gabe was crying in that episode.
Yeah.
And Gabe had come to the conclusion in that episode of like, I put so much effort and I've spent so much of my life trying to have a relationship with this man who doesn't want to give me the same effort back. And that was when he cried in his talking head.
That is such a profound moment in important relationships, especially like child parent.
Yes.
Where you have been the child who has desperately tried to please your parent, desperately tried to stay connected to your parent, even if your parents are abusive. Yeah. In fact, children who have been abused or are in abusive households try desperately to maintain the relationship with their abuser because they just want to be loved. Yeah. They just want to be accepted. But like the moment of clarity that inevitably comes, because I'm from an abusive background, where you realize, oh, this person's just an asshole. Yeah. This person is literally just a prick and wants nothing to do with me. Yep. That is just profound.
And it's heavy.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And it really, really hurts.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a shred, not an ounce of compassion for his sons who looked up to him and thought the world of him. He doesn't give a fucking shit, Beatrice.
No,
he's a despicable person. And the thing is, because we are watching the early seasons and we're also covering this on our podcast, the thing is, in season 1, 2, and 3, I can see a glimpse of a good person in Cody. I can see optimism. I can see curiosity and fun and like a pride in his entire family.
Yeah.
But the person that we're watching in seasons 16, 17, and 18 is just a shell, a miserable shell of that person.
It's really fucking gross to see. And like one of his bros said in their little man talk earlier in the episode that like a lot of people during COVID have been getting divorced because once they've been forced to spend time with each other, they realize they don't like each other or whatever. And I just got to thinking about COVID with this family. I'm like, it really did shed a lot of light on a lot of the problems that they were just blatantly ignoring. Like if it wasn't for COVID, we probably would have had 5 or so more seasons of just bullshit of just like probably seasons 9 through 12 of Sister Wives, where it's just like they're parading around like they're trying to be happy and like they try to care about each other, but underlying all of it is that Cody favorites Robin, he doesn't give a shit about Mary, he's financially abusing Janelle, and he's neglecting Christine. It's like there's all of this that's been under the surface this whole entire time, and then Cody can't understand that COVID brought all this to light. And now that's why he's feeling overwhelmed and feeling like everybody hates him in the family and everybody thinks he's the bad guy. It's like, well, you are. You want to be the patriarch. You want to be the head of the family. You want to be Atlas carrying the family on your shoulders. But then you can't acknowledge and take ownership of your failures in the family as a father, as a husband, as a polygamist person.
Like as the minister or the priest of the family.
Right.
I don't know if he ever wanted it, Beatrice. I feel like he wanted people to think that's what he was. Because this stupid Lexus.
Yeah.
The stupid used Lexus is a great symbol of who Cody is. He thinks it shows people that he's got money.
Yeah.
He thinks it shows people that he's got taste, but it's actually tacky. It's actually dumb. And a more functional vehicle would probably be a minivan or a truck, my guy.
Yeah.
But you want everybody to think you're driving a Lexus because you're so invested in how you appear.
Yeah. Pride.
And now that's really all he has left. I just don't think he's really got much of a heart, honestly. I don't think he has much of a soul. He's a soulless, subhuman vampire. So let's get through this conversation. So at some point, she's like, you're manipulating me. He's like, tell me how. They're screaming. She's like, well, if you'd let me speak, let me fucking speak. Shut the fuck up and let me talk.
Yeah.
And that is like the ultimate insult. Like, I am the head of this goddamn house. You're not going to tell me to shut the fuck up. He bounces up. He's like, we're done.
Yep.
We're not listening to each other. There's just nothing here but a bitterness.
Yeah.
There's just a bitterness here.
That doesn't need to be here.
And she's like, don't you blame me for the bitterness. Don't you point your fingers at me and tell me it is all me. In other words, where is your culpability? You love that word, apparently. Where is your culpability in all of this? And he's got none. And all he does is he wants to leave because she had the audacity to use vulgarity and call him out angrily.
And tell him to shut the fuck up, which I totally would have done, dude.
I would have probably assaulted him personally. I would have probably got my fucking ninja stars and my brass knuckles and fucking worked him over. I can't stand him.
For real.
Curb stomp him. Sorry, that's not nice. But I mean,
why?
He's enraging. He's enraging because he's so terrible.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's like, no, you will stay here. You will talk to me. She like goes to grab his jacket and he pulls it away and he's like, I will not. Did you see how he danced and pranced around? And he's like, I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to listen to you because I don't even remember what his excuse was.
Well, she's like, are you going to stay here and listen to me? He said, no, because you're not listening to me. So I'm not going to listen to you.
Baby. What a baby.
Fucking bitch baby diaper.
You're only saying
peen.
Gaslight because I used the word gaslight. Just what a...
You don't even know what that word fucking means, Cody Brown.
Immature way to argue. And so she's just like, okay, so we're done then. And he's like, yes. And he...
Fuck you. And then he slams the door.
He slams the door and she's like, turn it off. And I'm like, wow, I felt that.
Yeah.
My blood pressure was high. I was like, whoa, dude.
That was a lot.
Thank you, though. I mean, you laid some very necessary things bare for the audience. We have been suspecting. We're an intuitive bunch of raccoons. Okay.
We're fake psychics.
We have been suspecting all of this the entire time, but for these things to be said, because she tried to get into the argument that he had favorites.
Yeah.
And he cut her off like a couple of times. She tried to make the argument about what this is really about and why your kids are really upset, but he wouldn't let her do it. But there was enough said here that I felt so good as a viewer. I'm like, thank you.
I'm like, finally, at least something real. Something genuine came out of this fucking family. It's like, because you needed to get this out.
Yeah.
This family needed to get this shit out. I'm sorry. But like, you can't just sweep things under the rug for 20 years and expect people to be okay with it.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I don't even know how Robin lives with herself, knowing that she's been manipulating this whole thing. Like, I think she's kind of sweating after this episode,
you
to be honest. Like, and after this season, I think she's a little sweating because now she realizes now she's stuck with this angry, bitter old man who's balding. And then she's got no finances coming in from the anger, bitter old man and Janelle. Nobody's paying for her shit. Like, how's she going to pay for her house? How's she going to pay for her nanny? How's she going to pay for her perm? Like, she can't live with herself after this, I don't think.
Well, we'll talk about all of that and so much more, but I think this is a good place to take a break. Now, if you want to hear the entire audio podcast for free, all you have to do is go to your favorite podcast platform and look up Reality TV Cringe. You're going to find us there. We've been talking about Sister Wives for a whole year going crazy.
Yes.
And we'd love to have you listen and subscribe.
Yes. And if you would like the full video version of the pod uncensored, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/realitytvcringe, and we'll give you the key to the Glitter Gates luxury landfill.
Oh my God, get in the dumpster with us. Thank you.